Which 2024 U.S. Senate seats are most likely to flip? Today on Political Excess, we're going to go through all the states and see which ones are most competitive and have the best chance of changing parties. So I've got a tier ranking here, A through F. Obviously, A is the most likely to flip. F tier, there's going to be a lot there. Those are pretty much certain to be over a 10-point safe margin for each party. Now, some of these states, we don't know if the incumbent senator is going to run or retire, but we're going to try to factor that into each state anyway. Things can and will change in some of these states, but let's get started in Arizona, and that we will put in the B tier. Now, if Sinema runs or does not run, that is going to be a competitive state. Republicans definitely have a chance to put that in their column. The national environment is going to be a factor. The presidential candidates are going to be a factor in Arizona. Candidate quality is going to matter, so I wouldn't put it past the Republicans to blow a golden opportunity in Arizona. But for right now, this is going to be one of the seats everybody's going to be watching. Next is California. That has to obviously go in the F tier. Republicans have no chance to pick that up. Next in Connecticut, same thing. That's also going in F. Republicans are all but certain to have no chance in Connecticut. The next state is Delaware. That also is going to go in the F tier. Republicans are pretty much out of that race. I don't see them getting it within 10 there. Next state, Florida. This we will put in the C tier. Republicans probably feel a lot better about Rick Scott winning re-election there than they did before the midterms. But I don't think Rick Scott is really all that exciting. I don't think he's all that appealing. Maybe the Democrats run Stephanie Murphy. Could be competitive. Scott is going to have the advantage if he actually does run. But Florida is one of the few states Democrats have a semi-realistic chance to flip. Next state is Hawaii. This is 100% going in the F tier. There is no chance Republicans will even get within 20 points in Hawaii. Next state, Indiana. Well, this is the one state we know where the incumbent senator has decided to not run for re-election. Mike Braun, the Republican, he's going to run for governor. Indiana has become much more of a red state over the past decade, so we will put this in the D tier. It's very likely to stay with the Republicans regardless of who they nominate, but there is a small chance if the Republicans implode with a horrible candidate, it's a great blue wave, Democrats have a great candidate, maybe they could squeak by with a win, but that is very unlikely, and that goes in the D tier. Let's go on to the next state, and that is Maine. This has independent Angus King, who's basically a Democrat. He's kind of old. He could end up retiring. For right now, this will go in the D tier. I think if it is King, it would go in the F tier. Republicans have no chance. If King retires, then we're looking at C to D territory. So with all that considered, I'll put it in the D tier. Next in Maryland, that is going to be an easy F tier. Same with Massachusetts, also very easy F tier. Republicans have no chance in those states. The next state is Michigan. Longtime incumbent Democrat Debbie Stabenow, she says she's running for re-election. She is the very heavy favorite. I don't see Republicans winning this state. It's probably all going to be about the margins. I think they should probably get it within 10. Maybe she ends up surprising everybody and retiring. This will definitely go up a tier. But for right now, this is going to be in the D tier. The next state is Minnesota, and Amy Klobuchar is expected to run again. I don't see her losing at all. It's not going to be competitive. Minnesota is going in the F tier. Next state, Mississippi. This will go in the F tier. Republicans pretty much have this one completely locked up. Next state is Missouri. At this point, Missouri is a pretty red state. Josh Hawley is anticipated to run for re-election. He is also the heavy favorite to win re-election. It would take a lot for him to lose. All things considered, this will go in the D tier. The next state is Montana. This is going to be a competitive state. It's a great pickup opportunity for the Republicans. Incumbent Democrat John Tester, he's won very narrow elections 3 times previously. If he retires, I would say Republicans are likely to flip this. If he runs again, it will be very competitive. Republicans have a lot going for them to be able to flip this seat, but John Tester has proven himself to be durable. This is going to be a critical seat, I think, either way. This has got to go in the A tier. The next state is Nebraska. Now they're also having a special election in 2024. Regardless of that, Republicans should easily win both of these seats, and Nebraska will go in the F tier. The next state is Nevada. This will be another competitive one. All comes down to who the Republicans are going to nominate, but they do want to flip this one. They're going to have a chance. Nevada is a purple state, and it goes in the B tier. Let's move on to New Jersey. So Bob Menendez, he's running again apparently. We all know he's had scandals and corruption, but in the end he still wins by pretty wide margins. It's possible it does get under 10. I don't know who the Republicans would have as their nominee, but as of now I don't really see this being competitive at all. But just for the sake of something crazy happening due to Menendez being scandal-plagued, we'll put this in the D tier. The next state is New Mexico. Incumbent Democrat Martin Heinrich, he's probably going to run for re-election. He won by a wide margin last time. I don't see it getting really all that narrow. Republicans don't have a strong bench in New Mexico. So for right now, we'll have to put this in the D tier. Next in New York, Republicans also don't have much of a bench here. Gillibrand is probably going to win by a comfortable margin. New York is going to go in the F tier. Next state is North Dakota. This is a very red state. Republicans completely have this one in the bag. This goes in the F tier. Next state is Ohio. This will be a competitive one. Three-term incumbent Democrat Sherrod Brown, he is running for re-election to a fourth term. We know the state has drifted toward the right. Republicans want to knock off Brown. They're definitely going to have a good chance to do so. There's going to be a big primary battle. It's possible Republicans do blow it. Because it's so early on, I do have to make Brown the favorite right now, but only a very mild favorite. And for right now, we're going to put this in the B tier. Let's move on to Pennsylvania. Bob Casey, he is going to run again. He's popular. Republicans blew it last time with Dr. Oz. Even if they have a great night, I still think Bob Casey would win this no matter what. It would take some kind of huge scandal to develop. Unless that happens, Pennsylvania is not going to be competitive, and it's going to go in the D tier. Let's move on to Rhode Island, and this will go in the F tier. Next state is Tennessee, and this will also go in the F tier. And the next state is Texas. Ted Cruz, the incumbent, he says he's running again for a third term. Obviously, 2018, the blue wave, he came close to losing. It was only a few points. When he first ran in 2012, he won by a wide margin of 16 points. Those are almost George W. Bush numbers in Texas, and it was only 10 years ago. I think Texas is still basically a red state, even if that shade of red is getting a little bit lighter over time. However, even having said that, Ted Cruz is unlikable. He's going to have to rebrand himself if he wants to win re-election. This is going to have Democrats probably having a competitive primary to take him on. If everything lined up for them, I think they would have a reasonable chance to flip it. That is a big if. We'll see what happens, but for right now, I'm going to put this in C tier. Next in Utah, if Romney runs again, he's probably going to face a primary challenge. That could make things interesting if somehow a fringe candidate wins nomination, and if Democrats do something like they did with Evan McMullin, where he runs as an independent but has the backing of the Democrats. However, McMullin still lost by double digits. I think this is very likely to stay with the Republicans, but it's a little bit early. At this point, just to be safe, I will put this in a low D tier. Next state is Vermont. That is going to go in the F tier. Republicans have zero chance in Vermont. Next, in Virginia. Assuming Tim Kaine runs for re-election, he won by a lot last time. He's probably going to win again by a lot. If he ends up retiring, that'll make it more competitive. I still think Republicans have a very small chance to win. You might ask about Glenn Youngkin running for this seat. I don't know what he's going to do. I would think he's not going to run for it, but it's a little bit too early to say. Even if he ran, I still think Tim Kaine would win against the Republicans' best-case scenario with Glenn Youngkin. That's assuming Glenn Youngkin's popularity remains stable. For the U.S. Senate, Virginia is just pretty much a solid blue state at this point. So with all those factors, I will put it in the D tier. Next is Washington. Marie Cantwell, she appears to be running again. She's popular. She's not going to lose. This is going in the F tier. Next, in West Virginia, this is one of those states everybody's going to be looking at, everybody's going to be talking about. Joe Manchin, the Democrat, he's indicated he's going to run again. If he ends up retiring, this will be an instant flip. Republicans will win it for sure. If he does run again as a Democrat, I still think he is more likely than not to lose. This state has just passed by the Democrats so much. It's hard to imagine Joe Manchin holding on. I think this is the most likely state to flip in 2024. If Republicans don't pick this up, they should probably disband as a party at that point. So with all that said, this is going in the A tier. This is the most likely state to flip. Next, in Wisconsin, incumbent Democrat Tammy Baldwin seems to be running for a third term. She's definitely starting out as the favorite. If she ends up collapsing, Republicans have a strong candidate, and the environment is red, then I think maybe they could flip this seat. But for right now, there's no question the Democrats are going to start out with the advantage here. Wisconsin is a purple state. It's definitely not as blue as it used to be. And this one could end up being very competitive in the end. So with all that, I will put it in C tier. And finally, the last state is Wyoming. It's a very red state. There's not going to be any competition here. This is going in F tier. So that's it. Those are my tiers. I'm sure there'll be some adjustments here over the next year or two. But for right now, tiers A, B, and C, that's where all the action is. I wouldn't really pay any attention to D and F. It's going to be a good map for the Republicans. They should definitely flip one seat, probably two to three. But then again, they were supposed to kind of do that in this last midterm, and they blew it. You just can never really predict these kinds of things. But this is what I settled on. Maybe you disagree on a couple of these states for a couple of these tiers. Let me know in the comments if you agree with this or if you disagree. And on your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.